Hello, Cardinals. We're going to talk about investigation 5.2 today. This will probably end up being a 2-day lab. We are on page 23 of our notebook, and our topic is modeling the rock cycle. Our focus question is, how can we use crayons to model the rock cycle? Looking back to yesterday, we're going to review A through D, talking about the geoscience processes involved in the Earth's materials, recycling the materials, timescales, how does the energy from the interior affect the materials, and how does energy from the sun affect the materials? So a little bit of review of what we did yesterday with the simulation. And then finally, we're going to take a minute to answer the question, how do the properties of a plate impact how they move? So thinking about how the density, the temperature, the type of plate it is affects how it moves. Diving into investigation 5.2, we're going to be constructing an explanation of how igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rock are formed. There's a handful of steps today. It's going to be a little bit of reading, a little bit of note-taking, and then a little bit of discussion. So a lot of vocab words we're going to get done today. In the previous investigation, you used simulations to observe processes that involved energy flows and cycling of Earth's materials through different forms. You'll continue to observe these processes and the cycling materials in this investigation. We'll be using wax crayons to develop a model of the rock cycle. You're going to use student sheet 5.2. The concept map has the term rock cycle in the circle in the center. And what you're going to do is you're going to write what you know about the rock cycle, and you continue to add things about the rock cycle, draw them, circle them, connect each circle to each other. And we're going to share those maps with our partners and then add what they've said. So here's an example of what that bubble map is going to look like, and you're going to add things as you go. We're going to have a little class discussion about the rock cycle. If the classmates share something and you want to add to your map, that's your chance to write it down. And then we're going to collect those maps and return them at the end of the lesson tomorrow to see what you've learned. You're going to look at the materials available. You're going to get 4 pieces of aluminum foil tomorrow, 4 plastic knives, 2 crayons, an aluminum dish, a foam cup, and some hot water. And you're going to think about how those materials could be used to create a lab to model the rock cycle. You're going to be reading sedimentary rocks and then discussing with your group how you could use crayons and other materials to model that. And along with that, you're going to have a number of vocab to make sure you get done. So the first vocab is going to be sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are compacted and cemented together. And sediment is broken pieces of rock. Here's a picture of some information when it comes to weathering and lithification. And weathering is the breaking down of rock by rain, wind, or other factors. Lithification is chemical or physical changes that change sediment into rock. More information involving erosion, deposition, compaction, and cementation. Erosion is the movement of sediments from one location to another. Compaction is increasing pressure, forcing grains of sediment together. Cementation is water evaporating and the minerals forming between the sediments, then they act like glue. So it acts a lot like cement. Classic sedimentary rock are rocks made from fragments of rocks and other minerals. Organic rocks are rocks made from once living organisms. And chemical sedimentary rocks are rocks that appear after water evaporates, leaving minerals behind. You can discuss the procedures for creating weathering, depositions, and compaction, and record those in your textbook or in your notebook. And then you're going to make sure you write down what your procedure is going to be for tomorrow when we get the materials out. What are the limitations for using crayons? You want to write that down in your notebook. And then we're going to move on to metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock are rocks that's been changed their physical characteristics by extreme heat without melting and pressure. Here's a little thing about pressure and temperature, low grade, intermediate, and high, how it changes it differently, organizing the chemicals within the rocks a little bit different as the pressure and temperature changes. Foliated rocks are rocks where minerals line up in their visible layers and bands. And non-foliated rock are metamorphic rocks where minerals have blockier shapes and do not form layers. You're going to discuss how you're going to create a metamorphic rock and then write those class procedures down. And then talk once again about the limitations when creating a metamorphic rock. Finally, you'll be on to igneous rocks. Igneous rocks are rocks formed by cooling magma or lava. Vocab for igneous rock include intrusive igneous rock. These are rocks formed from magma slowly cooling inside the earth, allowing large crystals to form. And magma, that term is melted rock underneath the ground. Extrusive igneous rock are rocks formed from lava quickly cooling on the surface of the earth, causing small or no crystals to form. And lava is magma that has come through cracks in the earth. And minerals are naturally occurring solids, crystals made of one specific type of compound. So you'll write the procedures for creating igneous rock using crayons and talk about limitations for creating igneous rock using crayons. So finally, your group's going to discuss what is represented in each different part of the rock cycle and record that in your science notebook. And then explain how you're going to use crayons to model the rock cycle tomorrow when you get some time in class. So 17 steps today, a lot of reading with the group, and then including your vocabulary there. And then if you get time, there is a great video called Geology Kitchen, the 3 types of rocks, where a gentleman relates the 3 types of rocks back to different types of food and cooking. So if you have any questions, please let your teacher know, and have a great day, Cardinals.